Hey everyone, so today we're going to make an envelope. You're going to need to go to File, New, and make a new page. We want our page to be 11 wide by 8.5 high, and that's in inches, so make sure it says inches first. Then we can go ahead and click Create. So with our page created, I'm going to make this a little larger so you can see what's on my screen. So we have our layers over here. So we know to create a new layer, you come down to the page icon in the bottom right hand corner next to the garbage can. That's going to give us a new layer. So we are making an envelope. So obviously if you take an envelope and you open it all up, so if you took a real one and unglued it, you would see that it is a rectangle in the middle with about 4 triangle shaped pieces. So that's what we're going to create today by coming down to the bottom left and looking for the shape tool. If you right click, you are going to see a selection of different tools. We're going to start with a rectangle tool. We want the fill of the rectangle to be white, and we want the stroke around the rectangle to be black and 1 point. So we're going to go ahead and draw our rectangle. As you can see, it does tell you the size of the rectangle. So if you're specifically trying to fit a certain size piece of paper into this envelope, you would want to make your envelope a certain size. So here is my envelope middle. We now need to make a new shape that's going to be a triangle. So we're going to come over to the polygon tool. So I right clicked on the shape tool, selected the polygon tool. We're going to come up to the top and we're going to give our shape 3 sides because a triangle has 3 sides. We are going to do our best to make a shape that has a flat bottom, so we can always resize it. So I'm going to go ahead and make mine really big just so I can use the bottom of the page as a guide to have a perfectly flat bottom so I don't have to figure out how to rotate it correctly. So I'm going to come up to the arrow tool in the top left to move my triangle, and I'm going to grab the side and I'm going to hold the shift key down to resize my triangle so it stays proportional. So the shift key keeps it proportional. I'm going to line it up with my rectangle and I'm going to do that so it's the same width as my rectangle. And then I'm going to bring the top of the triangle down to the top of the page. So that gives me one triangle to be maybe the top flap to my envelope. So if I come over to my layers panel, my triangle shape that I just drew, I'm going to right click and duplicate the layer. So what that's going to do is make a second copy of this triangle. So I'm going to bring that copy down here, and notice I'm still on the move tool. I'm going to take the point of the triangle and drag it below and make my bottom flap. Then I'm going to go ahead and go back to my shape tool, make a new layer, and I'm going to make a shape I'm going to try that again because it's not where I want it. So I'm going to make another triangle for both of these sides here of my rectangle. So we're gonna, hopefully that is going to rotate nicely. So you can rotate a shape by putting your mouse above the border of the shape and you're gonna see a curved arrow appear. Then you can rotate just like that. So let's see. Looks like I did okay. So I'm gonna click my check mark, and then I'm going to drag this to here and this to here. And we're going to make this guy a little bit shorter. And we're going to go ahead and duplicate that again. So duplicate layer by right clicking. And then drag this guy to here. And this guy to here. All right, so there is a quick, easy envelope that you could create. You would want to do a test run printing it to make sure that everything lines up. You could also cut these corners off. So if you look at a real envelope, sometimes it's cut across here. The top is usually a normal triangle, but the sides might also be cut or rounded, so it's up to you. These projects are meant for you to show some creativity and use your problem solving skills to create. So let's see. Along with this, you probably would place your logo or your address label on the envelope to show off who you are sending it to. Typically, custom stationery would take the envelope and give it color along the lines of the same colors you used in your business card or the rest of your identity set. So I know for my my own that I showed in class when we made the business card, I used a hot pink and a bright orange with some black text. So I'd probably stick with that. You can take these shapes, and if you go to the paint bucket, you're going to notice that it's not going to let you paint it right away. What you're going to have to do before you paint is come over to the layer you're on, and you're going to have to select rasterize layer. And once you've rasterized your layer, you're going to see you're going to be able to paint it. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on all of these and rasterize all of my shapes now that they are how I'd like them. All right, so we're going to come back over. I want my rectangle layer, which I'm on. I'm going to select a color. So if I was on my school computer instead of my own personal computer, I would be able to use the eyedropper tool to take the color from my business card and use the same exact color. You'll also notice that down here, this is a preset color code. You could also use that color code. So designers typically would take and pick their color scheme for their logo and then use that same color code in whatever Adobe software they use, like Photoshop, to make sure they get the same exact color every time in everything they design, because they want that cohesive unity between all of their projects. So I'm going to go with this one for our example. So come back to my paint bucket. I want the front of my envelope to be white, and I want my flaps, I think, to be hot pink. And obviously I'm on the rectangle, so I was on the wrong layer. So I'm going to click Control-Alt-Z, and I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to pick the bottom flap and the top flap and the right flap and the left flap. And I'm going to make those that color. And then I think I would like, I think I want to leave this white instead of making it orange. So I could then use my address label to put my address on here, and I might just leave it that simple for my design, but your design could be different. So I challenge you to be a lot more creative now that you know the basic steps it takes to create